As we kick off this hour, it's our tremendous pleasure to welcome back Mitch Garber onto the program. Mitch, thanks so much for coming back on the show.
Hey, Mr. Makos, how are you?
I'm doing great. Now, Mr. Garber, here's the deal. We're going to get to immigration in just a second, right? Because, it seems like this is at the core to CAQ policy, and it may have negative effects on our economy. But first things first, because I follow you on the Twitter, you are the only Anglophone that the Premier follows on the Twitter. You hold some weight. I want to point something out. You've been very vocal on Twitter of late about vaccinations, about how the campaign is going, and I would just love to know. I need some extra firepower here on this because I've been banging the drum on vaccinations, but I would love if you could add to that.
Sure. I think, first of all, I appreciate the high levels of frustration that people feel, especially when they see that there are appointments that are unfilled, and that happens to be the case in Ontario and Alberta as well. There's a number of reasons for it. Some of them are socioeconomic. Some of them are cultural. Some of them are computer literacy. And I think the only thing I'm trying to point out, and, it's not in defense of the government, but it's in defense of Christian Dubé, who I do think is doing a really good job, is that, if you're in software or logistics, you would understand that it's not as simple as if there are open appointments, let's just lower the age by 1 or 2 years, or let's just open it up for walk-in appointments starting tomorrow, or let's just move the vaccines from here to La Beauce overnight, and then we'll close appointments here and open them there. This is a massive undertaking for 9 million Quebecers, not all of whom, of course, are eligible or will get vaccinated. But this is a huge undertaking, and it all kind of got cobbled together in very few months. And so I think, if you run a big business or you've been involved in large-scale software and logistics projects, you could appreciate that it could take a long time to develop even the systems to be able to manage this. And it is the government managing it. So oftentimes you won't have all the best people that you would have in a private company. And we have had private companies like CAE and Metro Jean Coutu really participating in the systems and the logistics. So I think if you look at the statistics and you look at what percentage of Quebecers have been vaccinated versus all the other provinces in Canada, and it's not a contest, and we're not trying to show that hey, we're better, but we have so far been better at distributing the supply that the federal government gives to Quebec.
And Mitch, just to add to that, up until around 3 days ago, if you looked at number of doses received versus number of doses delivered, they were those curves on a graph were in parallel, moving at the exact same rate. And over the last few days, it has slowed on the delivery, but they are changing things up, as you mentioned. I just want to point this out. Christian Dubé tweeting in the last hour, by the way, that they are that this is a normal thing that happens when you change priority groups. And I just want to bring this up because he says that very soon they're going to open up vaccinations to people suffering with chronic illnesses and essential workers. That's a tweet from the health minister. So
there's an important announcement coming late this afternoon. And again, I do think that we in Quebec are doing as good a job as we could do. I feel a little bit badly, personally, because I was and I am kind of the first person to be posting these open appointments across Quebec. And I was doing it only to motivate people to help other people make appointments who maybe have a hard time with their computers or have a hard time with the language or whatever the case may be. And I feel like people have taken it and are using it not against me, but against the system. Oh, look, there's open appointments. This thing is being horribly managed. And, my whole intention was to say, hey, look, there's 8 appointments open on Wednesday at Bill Durnan. Help somebody make an appointment and go get vaccinated. Not, look, there's 8 appointments open at Bill Durnan. This thing is being badly run. Listen,
I'm getting the same thing, Mitch, right? Because I'm someone that said, hey, this government's nailing it, by the way, on vaccinations. And I'm getting some feedback in the same vein due to those, what we've seen in the last few days. I will say in the last few days we've seen that. But you kind of sort of confirmed some big news there, by the way. Anything else you can say, by the way, about big announcement this afternoon?
No, I just know that the government's working hard to be able to adjust to the supply and to the number of appointments that are available, and they have a list that they need to work their way through, And I don't know which vaccines are coming. I mean, someone else may know. I just haven't been paying attention to exactly which supply of which vaccine are coming to Quebec, but that'll be part of the formula, I'm sure.
We're with Montreal businessman Mitch Garber. Okay, Mitch, let's get to the reason we booked you in the first place, right? And for everyone says we're being too rah-rah with the CAQ government, let's change our opinion. Maybe, I don't know what you're going to say, but I know when it comes to my take on the CAQ, boy, I love to hammer them on immigration. And they said, hey, we're going to take over and we're going to lower immigration numbers and you reap what you sow. And now, after they've been in power now for a few years, you know, we're seeing the ramifications of that. We don't have enough construction workers. We don't have enough nurses. We don't have enough daycare educators in this province. We need 70,000 immigrants a year in order to keep our demographic weight in Canada. We're nowhere near that. Mitch, what is your take on how the CAQ government handles immigration and if it is hurting Quebec's economic growth?
Look, I'm really pro immigration for a variety of reasons. I mean, you know, my last name may not appear to be one that immigrated here, but you know, my family came from Russia with nothing. Your family came from Europe, probably with nothing. And so here we are 2-3 generations later, making real lives for our families, getting them great educations and healthcare, building companies. And so I don't want that to stop, and I don't want it to slow, because I think it's really important. Number one, it's important to have a society that has, you know, many different ethnicities in it, many different cultures in it. And number two, I think it's important to offer people that are coming from countries that have a lower quality of life than we do, to help them give their families a better life. And what I do appreciate about Canada and Quebec, though, is that, you know, we do have a gating process. I think what's gone wrong in Europe is that the borders were open and an unlimited number of immigrants, without being vetted, were entering countries like the UK, like France, like Belgium, like Sweden. And that's not the right way to go about it. So, you know, immigration can't be an open gate policy. And I wouldn't want to see immigration slowed in Quebec for the wrong reasons. And I think you've pointed out one of the right reasons to continue qualified gated immigration, getting the workers that you need. Fine, we have too many software engineers. Okay, fine, we don't have too many construction workers. Well, let's work on that, and let's use immigration as a way to help people live better lives and to address any economic voids that we have here in Quebec.
Are you worried, Mitch, that the LQLF and the Minister of the French Language, Simon Jolin Barrette, that's coming up with the new Bill 101 any minute now, are more concerned with demographics than language? Because they keep touting mother tongue. Mother tongue is going down. Language spoken at home is going down. And those numbers will never go up, never, ever 100%. Go up with immigration.
Yeah, this is, so if you follow me on Twitter, then you know that I believe that most of these decisions are based around language. They're not mostly based around economics or any other criteria. So of course that bothers me. I certainly wouldn't say let's allow 200,000 immigrants from England to come to Quebec. That would be counterintuitive. But I think that they're overstating this whole idea of how the use of French is deteriorating. I think it's a natural, slow deterioration. I understand that it might be unfortunate and it might be sad, but the reality is that the immigrants that I've gotten to meet that have come here in the last 10, 15 years speak French as their second language. Their first language is the language of the country they came from, and not English, and that they are integrating. And the Syrian refugees are absolutely integrating and speaking French. I don't know which way they vote in the elections, and it's not important to me, but it's important to the people who make these decisions.
That last statement there, Mitch, speaks a lot. If you're going to have a discussion with the Premier on this subject, and I got to wrap up here, but what would you tell him?
I'd like to hear more from him. I think that the Premier, and I'd like to talk to Dominic Anglade about it and talk to Pascal Berube about it. And I think the Premier, to be fair, he should be totally consumed with COVID and deal with immigration, at the end of the summer, but really deal with it head on, and let's have a real conversation about language, demographics, and immigration.
Mitch Garber, thanks so much for coming on the program. We'll talk again real soon.